Well, hi there and welcome. I'm Rebecca Weaver. We're going to be factoring trinomials today, or quadratics. So let's get started. How do I factor a trinomial or quadratic, and exactly what does that mean? Factoring is splitting a product into factors. So for quadratics, we need to think about how they were created when we were multiplying. So before we go backwards, let's remember how to go forwards. Let's just take one. Like x plus 1 times x plus 3. If you'll remember, I had to distribute the x, and I got x squared plus 3x. Then I had to distribute the 1, and I got 1x plus 3. I added my like terms, and I got x squared plus 4x plus 3. It is those like terms that get added that causes the problem. This is the tough spot for us because we've got to figure out what added or subtracted together to get those middle terms. The middle terms being the ones that I added. So our keys are going to be to look at the very first term and the very last term. That'll let us know how to go about factoring these. So if we're given something like x squared plus 5x plus 6, I know that when it started out, it had these two parentheses. So I go ahead and draw those. Then I look at the factors of 6 because that's how I'm going to get a 6. It either had to have been a 1 and a 6 or a 2 and a 3. And I look at my signs. Notice that my signs here are a plus and a plus. What adds together to get 5? Which of these two factors would add together to get 5? Well, I believe it's the 2 and the 3. Now, this is just a guess, and not everything factors. Most of the ones that you're going to be given, or actually all the ones you're going to be given right now, they do factor nicely. But eventually you'll run across quadratics that don't factor at all. So you're going to have to learn to deal with that, but not right now. So I know that in the very first little spots, I had to have an x and x. So I write those down. I look at my signs. Everything is a plus. That's really sweet. I know that it had to be a plus and a plus. Now note that it could be a plus and a minus and a plus, or a minus and a minus. I'll have to figure that out. This is what we kind of call a guess and check, but it's like an educated guess method. So I've got the plus and plus. I'm going to put a 2 and a 3 here, but I don't know if this is the answer. It's what I think it is, but I don't know for sure. So what I'm going to do is check it. I'm going to take x plus 2 times x plus 3. I'm going to multiply it out. I'll get x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 6. And then I would add those middle terms, and then I get x squared plus 5x plus 6. I look back to see if that was what I started with. It is. So since it is, I go, hey, that's right. So then I can circle that and say, that's my answer. Let's look at another one. I'm looking at x squared plus 7x plus 6. I write down the factors of 6. Well, first I write down my parentheses because I know that's what I had. Write down my factors of 6, 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Which of these pairs is going to make a 7? Hey, I know which one makes a 7. That 1 and 6 are going to add together to make a 7. So I think that's my answer. Don't know for sure, but I put my x's in. I put my signs. It's got to be a plus and a plus. And then I'm going to write in a 1 and a 6. Now, I don't know if this is right or not, so I'm going to check it. X plus 1 times x plus 6. That'll give me x squared plus 6x plus x plus 6. Add those middle terms. Do I get a 7x? Hey, I do. You know what that means. This is right, so I can circle that and say that's my answer. All right, we're just going to work a bunch of these because practicing these makes it better. You're probably going to erase a lot because you're not going to guess them right on the first try. That's okay. Let's look at x squared minus x minus 6, because they're not always pluses, of course. I know it breaks apart into parentheses. Write down the factors of 6, 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Now, since I've got some minusing going on, is there any way if I subtract these two that I would get a 1? Oh, yeah. 2 and 3, if I subtract those two, I'm going to get a 1. I don't know how it's going to work so far, but I know I'll have an x and an x. I know I'll have a plus and a minus. So you have two choices at this time. You could have a 2 here and a 3 there, or a 3 here and a 2 there. Does it make a difference? Oh, yes. But I want to put down the right thing first. So what I do is I notice that this first sign is a negative. So when I add these two numbers together, one of them's negative. I need the bigger one to have the negative in front of it, because that way when they added, the answer was negative. All right, so that's why I'll put the 2 first and the 3 with the negative sign. So let's check this. X plus 2 times x minus 3. That gives me, when I multiply this out, x squared minus 3x plus 2x. Now when I add those two middle terms, minus 3x and plus 2x, do I get a minus x? Why, yes, I do. Of course. That's correct. So you know what that means. That little guy is my answer. Let's look at another one. X squared minus 5x minus 6. All right, you know what to do. Parentheses, dudes. Factors of 6, 1 and 6, 2 and 3. All right, who, when I add these together, subtract these, can make a 5, a minus 5? Actually, both pair can, but in this case, because I'm going to have one of the signs being positive and one being negative, that's what's going to get me this negative 6. They'll subtract. So I believe it's going to be that 1 and 6. I've done a bunch of these before. I've probably done over 100,000 of these because I've been teaching for over 25 years. So I'm usually pretty good at these. But you don't always guess right on the first time, and that's okay. It just takes practice. So once you get 100,000 of them done, you'll be a whiz at them. You put an x and an x down. I put a plus and a minus because that's the only way to get a minus 6 back here. And then I want the biggest number to be a negative because that's how I can get that minus 5 there. So I'm going to put the negative with the 6, and then I'm going to check. Do this every time. Even today, I still put it in, and then I check. So I'll do x plus 1 times x minus 6, multiply that out. That's x squared minus 6x plus x minus 6. When I add those two middle terms, I get that minus 5. There we go. I know that that's my answer. X plus 1 times x minus 6. Let's do another one. X squared plus 5x minus 6. All right, I know I need the parentheses. So then I need to write down my factors of 6. 1 and 6, 2 and 3. In this case, I've got a negative 6 here and a plus here. So it's going to be a plus and a minus are going to be my signs. So I need a plus and a minus, and I need somebody that's going to make me a 5. I know that it's going to be this 1 and 6. And in this case, the 6 is going to have the plus. That way, when I add, I'll have a negative x and a plus 6x, and that'll give me a plus 5. That's what I'm guessing it's going to be. So x and x, I need a plus and a minus, or minus plus. You can write it either way. I just need that 6 to go with the plus guy. So you could have written x plus 6 times x minus 1, either direction. But the plus has got to be with that 6 or it won't work out. So I'm going to write down, then I'm going to check it, x squared plus 6x minus 6. Those two middle terms add together to give me what I started with. And I say, yeah, buddy, and you're my answer. Let's try again. Let's look at x squared minus 5x plus 6x. In this case, we need some parentheses. I need some factors of 6. And in this case, because this is a plus, it either had to be on this back end, it either had to be a plus plus or a minus minus. I know it's going to be a minus minus because I looked right there and said, oh, it's got to be a minus minus. So which would my pairs be it'll be the 2 and the 3, because when I say minus 2 times minus 3, that will get me that plus 6. So that way I'll have a minus 3x and a minus 2x, and that'll give me minus 5x. So let's watch that play out. There's what I get when I multiply. You'll see the minus 3x minus 2x plus 6. Adding that together, I get what I started with, and I say, yay. There's my answer. All right, so let's look at x squared minus 7x plus 6. I need some parentheses. I need factors of 6. Once again, I know I'm going to have a minus minus because I have to in order for this to be negative and that to be positive. So I'm going to choose 1 and 6 to be my winners on this one. So there's my signs, and 1 and 6. So I have x minus 1 times x minus 6. Now I've got to check that. And I'll get x squared minus 6x minus x minus 6. Does that work? Oh yeah, it does. Nice. So you know what to do. Here's my answer. Let's try another one. Ooh, let's try 12. All right, so I'm going to need my parentheses. I'm going to need my factors of 12. There's a few of them. 1 and 12, 3 and 4, 2 and 6. I think that's all of them. Now, I need a plus and a minus. That's the only way I can get this minus sign right here. So I need a plus and a minus, so they're going to kind of subtract. Which of these pairs, when I subtract them, gives me a 1? You guessed it. 3 and 4. Let's try it. So who gets the plus and who gets the negative? Let's see. I want the big guy to have the plus because it ended up in a plus. So the 4 gets the plus in this case, is what I'm guessing. So let's go ahead and check it. X squared minus 3x plus 4x minus 12. Yep, that's going to get me my x squared plus x minus 12. Nice. Circle him. Don't know that he's the answer till after I check. Let's do another 3, and then it's off to let you practice. I need some parentheses. I need some factors of 5. Look at that. That's nice. You're the winner. Only one choice there. So I'm going to write down my z's, my signs. Let's see. You're a plus 5, so it can either be a plus plus or a minus minus. I know it has to be a minus minus because of that guy. So let me write in my minus minus. No choices here because they're just minus, so I just put them anywhere I want to. Then I check it. Z squared minus 5z minus z minus 5. These two middle terms make a minus 6z. Is that what I had? Oh, yeah, it is. Nice. Circle him. Okay. We're using different letters now. Got to vary it up. Get tired of using x. B squared minus 13b minus 30. Oh, need parentheses. Now we need some factors of 30. 1 and 30. 2 and 15. 3 and 10. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. Nope, 5 and 6. Who can make a 13? Well, I got a couple of choices that could make a 13. Those two could each make a 13, but what I have to do is look at my signs. So I put my b's in there. So if I look at my signs are going to be a plus and a minus. So they're going to subtract because it's a plus and a minus. So which of these two pairs, when I subtract them, gives me 13? That's the 2 and the 15, isn't it? And I'm going to give the 15 the minus sign because this 13 right here is negative. And when they add together, I have to have that bigger one be negative. So let me check it. B squared minus 15b plus 2b minus 30. All that works out pretty good. And then the middle terms add to the minus 13b. You're it. All right. This is our last one. M squared plus 15mn plus 36n squared. Don't worry about that n squared at the back end of that. Just relax. Let's just do this like normal. Need the factors of 36 though, and there's a few of those. Oh my goodness, you got to list them all off. There they are. Who can make a 15? There's only one pair that can make a 15. There it is. So I need my m. And this time, since you have your n at the back end, put them in there. So you put your m in the front and you put your n's at the back end. These are both pluses, so I know what my signs are. Then, since they're both pluses, doesn't matter where I put the 3 or the 12. So I'll put those in. Remember, sometimes it does matter, but not when they're the same sign. So now, this is what I'm thinking it is. So I need to check it, and it's messy. M squared plus 12mn plus 3mn plus 36n squared. Do those middle terms add together to give me 15mn? Yeah, they do. Oh, nice. All right, there's my answer. If you have any questions, you know what to do. rweaver10@alaska.edu. I expect some questions. I expect you to do a lot of erasing and a little bit of struggle in this, but it is very, very important to being able to pass your math classes that you're able to do this. So really stick with it and try hard. And if you're needing help, you be sure and reach out to me. Have a fantastic day. Bye now.